What gender double standard really annoys you? I grew up overseas. In a country that doesn't really encourage personal vehicles. We have a lot of public transport. As a result, my mechanical knowledge is extremely poor. My white girlfriend, who grew up in the sticks, and whose dad is a mechanic, has tinkered with cars all her life. Every time we walk to an auto parts store to get stuff, the employees never talk to her. Even if they ask me a question and she replies, they continue acting as if she doesn't exist and keep talking to me. It's unreal. It's as if they don't see her. She's gone to job interviews for mechanical jobs where the interviewer asks her very basic and belittling questions because they don't believe she can understand mechanical stuff. Meanwhile, up until last year when I met her, I didn't know what a ratchet was. Being a female mechanic, it's worse when guys think you have no idea what you're doing and they ask for a man to check your job. That really sucks. I can't count the amount of male mechanics that have screwed me over hundreds of dollars. Meanwhile, my girlfriend with a Haynes manual gets it done for nothing. In future, I would probably trust female mechanics over males just because they have to deal with so much speed. They wouldn't be working there if they didn't know their stuff. Going into a store that is considered male PC store, video game store, car shops, etc. And the salesperson only talking to my male partner despite me being the person looking for a product and being the buyer. I collect comics and have done for over 20 years. My husband isn't interested in them at all. He gets talked to and approached in comic book stores and I get ignored. When he's not been there, I've been asked if I'm buying for my partner, been ignored, or had my choices mocked. It's just made me buy online more. How my daughter can do gymnastics and she's called athletic. But as soon as her twin brother does gymnastics, he's just weird. I think any gymnast is cool. Shame that there's a double standard. Here. Gymnasts are capable of bodily feats most people aren't. They're all awesome equally. When I was a teenager, I was not allowed out of the house to walk to the local shopping center to hang with my friends, all male. My mom told me it was because I'm a girl and I'm way more likely to be attacked on my way, and if I was a boy it'd be different. In general, since I was 12 up to now, when walking alone in public I was very frequently sexually harassed, and I'm not sure if the same thing happens to men. Although I can't speak for everyone. When I go out alone in public I am rarely harassed in general. Couldn't imagine walking outside for the day and being harassed constantly. Hell, if that were the case I'd rarely go outside. Threatening your daughter's boyfriend. This is a double standard. But it's also just a Hollywood trope that some dads think they're supposed to do, and it's incredibly creepy. When I was in high school, at least a couple dads would say things like, "Just remember I know how to shoot, and if you break her heart I'll break you," etc. Sometimes it's just dads thinking they're cute when they do this, but I've received at least one legitimate threat by a dad thinking he was doing his dad duty. Keep in mind that as a teenager I was very small and not at all in the bad boys clique. But if you are actually worried about your daughter's boyfriend harming her, then don't let her date them. Don't just blanket threaten a bunch of minors. God, my uncle did this and I wanted to beat the speep out of him. My own father didn't try that speep. But this guy I hadn't seen in peeping years. Oh, it's just Wayne. He thought he was being funny. I don't peeping care. He stood up in my boyfriend's at the time face and threatened him. There was no joking in his eyes. He's trying time protect you. Well, maybe he should have gotten to know me before yelling at this amazing guy. My boyfriend said he was fine, but I could tell he was a little upset. As a guy, I feel like if I am around kids, or smile because I see a youngster having fun in the park or something, I'm labeled as a potential threat. But really I just love to see kids being kids, and I'm thinking back on the days when I was that age. Honestly, I used to work at a daycare and the parents would wait until a female employee would show up if I opened, making themselves late for work by about 2 to 3 hours because they thought I was going to do something. Like I had a pretty extensive background and had to be fingerprinted to even have a hope of working there. I am a female teacher. I only know one man who is a kindergarten teacher. And people constantly make comments to him about how women must love it that he is so good with kids and he will be a great dad. As if he is only in the job to impress women. Nobody says this speak to me. I know a male first grade teacher. He worries that they all think he's a pedophile. The guy that I know was accused once. But thank God the supposed assault took place at a time when they were on video on the security cam. Lots of guy stuff here. So I'll add the other side. Not allowed to do guy work at work. As in, I can easily fix what is broken with some wrenches right now. But no. Male co-worker X will do it next week. I got turned down for a job at the state park because it involved occasionally lifting 50-pound bags and well, girls apparently can't do that. I moved 300-pound barrels at my job now. The state park did offer me a different job. Working in the office. By myself. Until 11 p.m. I was 16 at the time. But hey. Office work is for girls. So that's a better fit. And if I do any of the super difficult guy work, I'm seen as some sort of butch lesbian. Because regular straight girls can't do that stuff. My toddler son is a little heartbreaker. But my toddler daughter will never date and I'll threaten any boy that wants to take her on a date. I can dress in typical men's clothes all day every day. Never wear makeup. Cut my hair short and never get my gender or sexual orientation questioned, but my husband gets comments to his gender identity and orientation for wearing a pink shirt to his suit. Beep right off with that. Remember when pink was a manly color? I do. Right? My husband is smoking hot, radiating sexiness in that shirt. 2. Normally men wearing pink. Why do yogurt commercials never feature men? I like yogurt too, goddammit. Terry likes yogurt too. Don't touch Terry's manga yogurt. Terry's only seen the anime yogurt. Pockets. I want M. But then the purse selling business has to shut down. It's so funny because there's so many men out there who wish it were socially acceptable for them to carry a purse, so why not just give everyone pockets and then let them decide whether or not they need/want a purse. Everyone gotta wear those fishing vests, lol. I'm a bar manager. The other night a girl bit and punched my security guard. I phoned the police, who came in about 45 minutes, and she was still there just waiting for them to show up. She could have simply left and was screaming at us that we have no idea what it's like to be a minority, true, and no idea what it's like to be a woman, true, and no idea what it's like to be the victim of sexual assault, not true. And was also not relevant for that night. She was not arrested. And no charges were laid after she literally bit another human being and was trespassing on our property. And seemed to be either on drugs she shouldn't have been or needed drugs she wasn't on. My security guard was furious about the situation and said if that was a guy, I would have knocked him out long ago. I'm not advocating for women being hit for things that a man would be hit for. I'm saying that it's very frustrating to see that the same patience and restraint wouldn't be shown to a man who did the same things. It's a tough situation because I don't think either gender gets treated well in that situation. Women are dismissed as crazy. Men are simply hit and dismissed. There has to be something in between that works for both. Edit. I'm seeing a lot of people say hit both. It's self-defense or something similar. One, I'd prefer nobody gets hit in these situations if they and be controlled. 2, a 300-pound guy hitting a 100-pound woman or man would likely be looked at as excessive in most cases. I think this is kind of where the Karen trend stems from. Women can generally do or say more stuff without being perceived as overly dangerous or aggressive, and can act as a victim if the other person fights back physically or with mean words. This is a little heavy, but here goes. I'm a man who has been sexually assaulted and raped by a woman. The authorities thought I was a joke, and many people do not believe me simply because they don't accept that a woman can rape a man. That's awful, man. That is awful. Beep that bitch and that double standard. A particularly wonderful choice of words. That as man, if I show any affection towards children, I could be considered a pedo. Not just that I like children. Edit. I don't mean it like that, guys. I remember hearing about a couple who were friends with my ex. They had hired a male babysitter to take care of their toddler from time to time when they wanted to go out. Everything was going great. The kid loved him. Never a single issue. Until one evening. The couple gets home and they find the babysitter sitting on the couch with the kid, who had fallen asleep leaning against him. They fired the babysitter on the spot, because they felt that this level of physical contact was inappropriate, but openly admitted that they would have had no problem had the babysitter been a woman. The FBEEP LOL. It really sucks. I have 2 daughters. The older one is 11 now. And I get those looks when I take her out. It's not everyone, but enough to realize that some people can't imagine a father taking his daughter out for ice cream. Due to this, I am somewhat thankful that she's grown out of my embarrassing affection, like holding her hand, or kissing her on top of her head, which I can no longer do anyways unless she's sitting. It really does. I remember my dad telling me that he used to get nasty looks when I was a baby, and he would tell people that he actually enjoyed giving me my bath. The fact that there are still people out there in 2020 who think a man can't be raped or sexually harassed blows my mind. Yes. Men get sexually harassed and catcalled. Yes. Men get raped. Yes. They get raped by women. Not just other men. It happens a lot more than you think it does. But they're just taught by society to suppress the trauma that comes with it. They're taught not to speak up about it, or else people will just laugh/ask them why they didn't enjoy it. Beep you. Double standard. When I was a teenager, I worked with these 2 girls who were extremely sexually aggressive, one who had a thing for me and her friend who egged her on. When I finally made it clear I had no interest, I was hounded and called every name in the book for the rest of my time there. Had my sexuality questioned daily, etc. I finally complained to my manager, who responded with, and I will never forget this, "Maybe she'll stop being a bitch if you man up and beep her. You pussy." Good times. This happens so often and it's awful. I'm so sorry it happened to you. Did you report them? They deserve to get fired for that. I edited the initial comment to include that part. Not sure why I initially hesitated to bring it up anonymously 20 years later. There may be some baggage there. What the beep? I wanna take a swing at that asshole. Why the beep is this behavior so prominent? God. I'm so sorry. Nobody deserves that. I hope you're doing better, and I hope you find a respectful, nice person to spend your time with. Pockets in clothing. My 3-year-old son has more functional pockets in his pants than my wife does in hers. Shout out to Torrid for actually putting usable pockets in women's clothing. Yes. I agree. Women's clothing needs more pockets. But also a 3-year-old is around the demographic most in need of pockets for all the cool rocks and shells and things they can find. On the flip side, You only need a 3-year-old to fill their pockets with slugs once before you start debating the wisdom of giving toddlers pockets at all. Maybe this is more prevalent among people of my culture, Mexicans, but I remember when I was little we were done eating dinner at my aunt's house and all the women and girls got to cleaning while the men sat in living room watching TV. When I asked my mom about it, she and my aunt just laughed, giving me an "oh you dumb little girl" look. Pisses me off to think about it to this day. My GF is Mexican and it amazes me how they are trained like housewives. Her mother gets really upset at her when she doesn't serve me food at her house. I've tried to explain to them that we are a team and we serve each other. She looks at me like I'm stupid, lol. My little sister doesn't understand why I dislike her boyfriend. He did this on more than one time occasion, demanding a service. I glared at him and he quickly shut up. Got up and got it himself. But it's very Argentine mentality that pisses me off. My dad won't clean his own plate until we've literally ignored it for days. Ha. My cousin does that. He wants his wife to clean the dishes, BC he can't, and I quote, "Guys don't clean the house. That's the lady's job." You know. My GF is terrible at housework. And hates cooking anything other than the occasional box mix. I'm the one that does the cooking and tidying up most of the time. And I never felt like that was weird. We both work full time. She does the shopping cause I can't stand it, too many idiots for me to maintain my cool for very long these days, and I handle the minor cleanup stuff. Gender stereotypes are absolutely idiotic. For example, I consider myself an excellent shot with just about any gun. Except in skeet shooting. Because I can't hit a clay pigeon to save my life for some reason. My GF, my little sister, and my mom are all so terrifyingly accurate with any weapon you put in their hands that I would choose them over any of my military family members any day for the zombie apocalypse. As a teen I used to joke about how my job was to be tall and lift heavy things. My family is a little below average height. I'm 6 feet 2 inches, which I think is 190 centimeters-ish. So-called gender norms are bull's peep. I've met female CEOs that are far more competent than any male. I've met male secretaries so incredibly efficient it would blow your mind. I've met female lawyers who could win any reasonable case dozens of times better than their male co-workers. And male dancers that are graceful enough to make you cry. It's all bull's peep sexism. You people do you. And if anyone tries to argue, give them the classic double one-finger salute. Edit. That kinda turned into a rant. My bad, folks. Guy here. One double standard that I've benefited from but I still find very saddening. Guys being praised as being great with kids. For doing the bare minimum. I used to date someone who had a very young sister around 7 years old when we started dating. I remember taking the three of us to see a Disney movie at the theater. I was holding the little sister's hand while we were waiting in line. And a woman in line behind us, apropos of nothing, says to me, "I can tell you're going to be a great dad." She didn't say, "I can tell you two are going to be great parents." She just said it to me. For holding a kid's hand to keep her from wandering off. She was also wrong. I don't want kids ever. But more to the point, it just made me sad that, apparently, the standards for being a good parent are so much lower for men than for women. So much is expected of mothers. But apparently so little is expected of guys that any random schmuck can be declared a good father by accident. That's really depressing. At the hospital after my second kid was born, I was walking around with the baby so my wife could get an hour or two of uninterrupted rest between feedings. A nurse commented on how great it was and I just mentioned that it literally is the least I can do. She said something like, "Yeah, but I've got another couple that's struggling and the dad isn't doing anything. The bar is so low. Do better. Men." Expect better. Women.